similar to what we're gonna see on the top of the
second pyramid.
So,
But we are not very sure about this casing here. We are sure about the casing there.
yeah,
But some Egyptologists, they try to make a routine for everything. I saw this shape, and this is another pyramid, so it could be the same. But many, they don't believe that this is real thing. This is maybe was made, or it could be half, or it could be one layer, because in other pyramids we're going to see layers of granite, not limestone. The casing, the final casing is granite, not limestone. Okay.
like the ones on the third pyramid and the base of the middle pyramid.
So this is probably, or possibly later work.
No, it's original with it. But Mohammed is saying that just to have the whole pyramids cased to the top doesn't have, we don't have a
not a
solid
must.
evidence for it. We only figure out this because we saw the example on other pyramids. And that's what we usually do, because as I told you, since the Middle Kingdom, 2100 BC, and this is what's officially written, but we know that it actually was happening since the Old Kingdom.
Just vibrations. But he didn't understand
What kind of
what kind of vibrations. So his background was built on earthquakes vibrations. He didn't believe that this is the vibrations because of energy,
Yeah,
because of
like an activation.
it's like a huge
Activation of
engine,
sound,
and the engine.
resonance, electromagnetic
So he related
pulse.
such vibrations to earthquakes. But when you read our history, in the last 3,000-4,000 years, we have like 4 earthquakes.
If it, geological.
And that's right, because I was always told that these were always made to be earthquake proof because there was so many earthquakes.
Where is
Not
it?
in Egypt.
Right, but there aren't.
Yeah. The last major earthquake, we had one 1992, and before 1992 it was the 14th century.
Oh wow,
Imagine, it's a long.
that's a lot. It's hundreds of years. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to see so many facts, but hidden in somehow in the Egyptology stories.
Yeah. They can mention the erosion in the stone is one of the other mysteries, and in some cases people think the inner walls were that they used already deteriorated stones, but this one here was on the casing, like the other ones we saw on the other side. So imagine how long would it take for it
To a road like this.
yes, to be eaten away or to be.
And you must put in your mind something that also, as we explained about earthquakes, it's not famous in Egypt. Also, bad weather is not famous in Egypt. We don't have bad weather at all. Okay.
Against the stone.
We can say
Not
we
much
have
humidity.
long summertime, and we have it rains here. You know, as maybe if you are from a country have lots of rain, you will not realize that it is raining in Egypt. It rains like 5 minutes and that's it. And then another day, 2-3 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe maximum 30 minutes. So it does this like 5 times in the winter time. So we don't have much rain. We don't feel rain in Egypt. So erosions, and also humidity is not very high in Egypt. Summer is dry. Winter time, the humidity is not very effective because of the cold weather. So if we are using this as an evidence, but a very good geologist team, group of geologists, they can tell us how long it takes to make it like this with the Egyptian conditions. But no one is trying to think this way.
Except for Robert Schoch, right?
Yeah, but Robert Schoch, I believe that, I don't know, some kind of pressure maybe happened, or no support.
Ancient rain.
Yeah.
That is the type of rain that used to come
Are you interested
more
in
than 10,000
postcards with
No, I'm
stamps?
years
okay.
ago.
Thank you.
شنو كان هنا واشترى قبل كده. The timeline according to such new evidences.
So you saw the sharp ones on the other side. So what caused this? And why from this side and not the other side? Why the other side the stones remain in a good condition?
Maybe the direction of rain, because in Egypt it is west, northwest.
Yeah,
That's
because
more than just rain. Or it will be like
Yeah, it's
100,000 meters.
heavy. I rock climb, and I always, in California we have heavy, anywhere near the coast when you climb,
Yeah.
it's very, very similar. But what we see is chalky. Anything that's been heavily water eroded, there's a lot of chalk. So you always have to clean it. But I don't see any of the, even deep inside, there's no more dust,
Yes.
which you should see.
I believe for some reason this, like when I talked to the geologist, she said this could be like the mist flooding down and then eating away some of the soft stuff in the limestone. It's not that type of limestone anyway. But the way I saw it, and she said this can be like
not the
an
mist.
eye trick for you. Yeah. Which I saw that the stone itself shed a liquid from the inside. This is how I see it. I'm not a professional geologist, but I feel like that the stone really something was happening, that it used to shed this mist or this liquid out of it. And when it came out
From its own
it deteriorated
structure.
from the inside out. I don't I'm not a professional geologist, but
And we see
That's
this in
how I
some
see
places.
it.
We see the stone is leaking out.
yes.
A kind of liquid, not rain liquid or not rain water. It's something comes from inside the stone.
Right, because wouldn't you see the weathering going more straight down than angled? If that was the case,
Exactly.
it wouldn't be.
And other cases, there is the stone that's you see in the megalithic temples, if we can call them temples, the one that they are connected to the pyramids, which they label them as the funerary temples. They have the inner wall. The wall is quite wide. The inner wall, which we're gonna see also, is made from limestone, and then it has another 2 layers of granite that I don't like to call them casing stones, as they, because when you label them as casing stone, then
You
The-
lose the
y-
meaning.
The intention, right, right.
Because in some cases, like in Abu Sir, you will find that the outside granite is actually thicker than the inner wall. So why they didn't just build it all from granite?
Right.
Huh? If you wanted a granite,
Right.
and there is a line like this thick from limestone, and there is casing like this thick from
granite.
granite stone. So
Right.
we had a device that produced the electromagnetic field.
In his shop.
Yes, and it was made by an engineer. And when we tested the different types of stones on it, we found that limestone was the best to
Really?
conduct the electromagnetic current. It was as good as gold and silver,
Really.
really. And
Yeah, I saw it myself one day.
Yes.
They have a copper.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Something
you
you
can
have
even
to
use your hand.
yeah.
You know, the electromagnetic field can be inducted even through plastic,
And you
through
can
stones,
feel
through
it.
anything.
Yeah. Silt and other materials together in a certain heat, and he didn't mention the heat because that is something will be also impossible. We understand that to do this we need maybe, I don't know, 1,000 degrees or more or less, but he didn't mention the heat. And they did the Egyptian had molds. And why he said so? Because so many of the stones looks like the same piece, as if they repeated the same style of cut, the same shape, the same size, the same weight. So he said all were put in a mold. But you must know that the same Egyptologists and scientists, they admit that the ancient Egyptians during the Old Kingdom and Middle Kingdom didn't know or use iron. So it will be what kind of mold? Copper mold or bronze
clay, but anything that wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some said wooden, and they didn't
Yeah.
include the fire in it.
Right.
The whole theory just will collapse because of one simple thing. The quarries where they
Yes.
cut the stones still
Yes.
exist. We go visit it.
Right.
We go visit the quarry in
And-
Silsila, the quarry in Aswan. And if they molded limestone, how did they mold the granite and
Granite.
basalt and quartzite? All the elements, not all of them, but most of the types of stones are here. And the other types, we don't know where they brought it from, like yellow transparent quartzite or other types of stones, megalithic pieces, cannot be molded. Nobody ever heard of it being molded before.
No.
So where is his proof of
about
this?
the other types of stone.
Yeah.
Okay. So his only evidence, and the one he thought it is solid evidence, that one of the stones, and also you must know that the one who sent him the samples, it is not the right way to send the samples. If I'm gonna make something like this, I'm gonna bring the samples myself to make sure that the sample from this place. But if you send me something, I will not say trust you, but you may send me samples maybe you don't know.
To push my agenda.
Exactly.
Like,
So
here's the stone. If I picked a piece from here, it might be something different.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you want to take it really, you have to chip it from there,
Yeah.
from the stone. And then you will go to jail.
So what is his evidence that he found human hair in such sample, which is also still possible. What is limestone? Limestone is layers from the calcite, the bottom of the sea, and after thousands of or millions of years, layers above layers above layers. So we admit that humans also lasted. We are not sure humans what would the exact time they appeared on. So it could be human hair. So
Absolutely.
that is not something hard to believe.
Absolutely.
And what about
Or put on fire.
yeah?
Okay, the blocks. I think he was talking like the Roman style, the red
said-
bricks. Okay, build me like a pyramid shape from that kind of stone we make from fire. Okay,
But
which is
let me say it again, like rephrase. Literally, he said to the vizier, burn on the mud.
burn on the mud. Yes.
We didn't have structures here from
Red
red
bricks.
bricks until the Greco-Roman time, and this is before the Greco-Roman time. So he told him burn on the mud and create a structure.
High structure. So I can send to see this god of Moses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So burn on the mud here. This is referring, of course, to the Holy Book of Quran. And burn on the mud here can be a sign to the elements, fire and earth and water. And this is the kind of alchemy we understand the pharaohs were aware of from inheriting the sites. They were aware of how to use the forces of nature to create things. So it's not like the primitive way of thinking of it. Burn on the mud.
Yeah, we shall not take it that easy, you know.
Yeah,
That how do you call it?
So literal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
We must go. Like when they explain the meaning of the pyramid in Greek language, fire in the center.
Yeah. Pyramid.
It's not fire; it is energy.
Energy.
Because we understand that the ancients, when they refer to the energy, they used the simple way, which is fire.
Well, that's why we say he's got a fire burning inside of him. He's a passionate person.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like the microwaves,
Uh-huh.
you create fire, but it's not fire.
So then,
And that the Egyptian never had this kind of slavery. Okay.
Yeah.
It is not mentioned in any. They had war prisoners, maybe, but those slaves, if we can call them slaves, they will never join this kind of work.
yeah.
Okay, if it happened during the dynasties,
Sure.
We don't believe it was
Okay.
during
Yeah.
the dynasties at all.
you know, in the
We believe it's pre-dynastic. There was no Hebrews back then. There was no this like foundation of like.
I was going to say
separation.
this in the end, the
Yeah.
timeline of the Hebrews in Egypt. But let's first talk about foreigners, not necessarily Hebrews or Canaanite or as in the Bible. Okay, I don't remember in Joseph, I think, or Moses section. They are talking that the Egyptians didn't share food with them, with the Hyksos. Okay. So imagine if the Egyptian will not share food, they're going to share knowledge with the others. And we understand that during the New Kingdom time, Egypt became very large empire, very rich. So the Egyptians stopped dealing with minor jobs. No Egyptian carpenter, no Egyptian plumber, no Egyptian sweeper. So they imported foreigners to do such work. Okay, I will not say the Egyptians were arrogant and were having that ego, but they considered their
It was
knowledge
sacred for
and
them.
their
It was
language
sacred.
also
Yeah.
sacred, and that's why the Egyptian. Some people they say they didn't know foreign languages. No, they did, and we have one of the. I'm gonna send you the picture through Facebook. That we have what we can call him translator, translating between the Egyptian and the other, and he was Egyptian, not foreigner. Because the Egyptian didn't try to teach the other their own language. which is sacred language. They call it language descended from the sky. So it will be only for us. So the same for the knowledge. How come they bring those people to share with such constructions, which was like national project, okay? And as Yousef explained, the first, I will not say evidence, but story about the Hebrew visit to Egypt was Ibrahim himself. Came during the Middle Kingdom.
Yeah.
After the pyramids were built,
Long time.
maybe
Even to the
800
official
years.
story, which we believe that it can be much more ancient.
Sure.
I want to show you here something. This is the kind of marking in limestone that you have this tool that look like a hand like this, and you keep churn.
Like a claw.
That's why, yeah, like a claw. That's why you will find that the lines are not continuing. It stops here, and then it goes from here to here, and then from here to here, and then from here to here. That's how they
Several
same like that other case over there. And this is of course a soft stone. So a tool from iron can do this. This is modern. This is not ancient. This piece here was also brought for that, but it was made with a circular saw. And this is modern. This is not ancient. You can see the marking of a circular saw from today. So what we're gonna see here in basalt stone is the same machining, but from the ancient times. And this is the markings of machining on the stone. The primitive style of machining, which is making pits, and then put the wood in these pits and pour water in the wood
And crack it.
and
Yes.
crack it. But the fact is, when they wanted to
have the
take out
chance to
this
go.
megalithic obelisk that's 1,200 tons, they
the
came
middle.
into the center of it. And then they carve it all from around it.
That's super difficult because you would have no space to push the remaining rock out. You just run into more rock.
And they think they did this by pounding. This unfinished obelisk is like from here to that structure over there. So we're talking about one of the most megalithic man-made blocks of
1,200
stone.
tons.
Yes, 1,200 tons. Single solid piece of
And
rose
this
granite.
will lead us to the second question. We understand
Yes.
from the edge because it will collapse
Fall,
to the
and then
edge
they
and
can shape it
they can
and
drag it.
use.
If they can, this is also impossible.
Sure,
but
sure.
Let's say this is the easy way.
Yeah, that's
How
the
are they
normal.
going to
way.
drag that one from the middle, which is in a lower level in the middle? So
Yeah.
they have to lift it up.
To the height.
Yeah, to-
And then
And it's in a higher
yeah,
location too,
this-
in the mountain. It's in a high location.
All
not-
high
not-
around, and that
Yeah.
is so they're going to do two steps inside.
Yeah.
To put it higher to the higher level, and then to go from the higher level to the ground
the
level.
ducks, as they say, that they used to put it on a boat.
right.
But
So-
this is good.
But the point I wanted to tell you here, when you go around the other unfinished obelisk there, you will find the patterns of that tool, whatever it was, coming down from above, and then coming with an angle like
an
that,
angle, yeah,
and
the
then
curve, yeah.
forming a step in the ground, and then the other one, and forming another step, like a continuous lines. That's not the end of it. The same line is keep going underneath the unfinished obelisk, and then outside from like that. So there is no possibility of pounding. You know, if you say pounding like that, but the depth in it, and actually the end of the depth is like a curve that's this big, which there is no space actually for the pounder to be inside there. So the theory, because they found these pieces of stones over there, this is the latest way, because
happened.
the
That
quarry
is happened.
was
We don't
being
say
used.
it didn't happen, but it happened
It
later.
happened, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
To cut small
the
pieces,
same
like,
misunderstanding
yeah.
when they look at the latest transformation and they think it's the
This
original.
is what happened.
They look at the explained or like the primitive way, and they think that this was made with. But there are proofs.
They make their judgment for the last thing they
there
saw.
are proofs about, and we're gonna see it here. I'm gonna show you here the circular saw machining and the tube drill machining.
I want to explain kind of miracles in precision and size. One pyramid, we may accept a kind of a miracle work by slaves, by workers, but this is part of so many other constructions, and they all show the same great quality. They all show the same type of work. So it wasn't at all by, as we say, by muscles or by
Forced labor.
No.
Yeah.
It was a kind of science, well-known science. Okay, and they used to practice during that time when they built the pyramids, because we can see this in this pyramid, the second, the third. We see it in Dashur, we see it in Saqqara, we see it in the tombs, we see it in Karnak temple, in Luxor
You
temple.
see it in Peru. So who brought the slaves to Peru?
Right.
This is the elite.
A diorite. Okay, that's the stone that's harder than steel, right?
Yeah.
This is it. See
Wow.
how green this is?
Wow.
This stone itself, there used to be basins here and the device is made out of it. And it comes from 130 kilometers to the south of Abu Simbel. That's between Egypt and Sudan, on the borders.
The borders.
Why? Imagine somebody that doesn't have the trucks and the tools and going these hundreds of kilometers into the desert
the southwest corner.
and
of
cut
Egypt.
megalithic stones and then move with it from the desert
Right.
supposedly to the river. And then they used the official story also is about that, like during the time when the river went low, they loaded the boats, and then when the flood
For
came,
high flood.
the stones float, and then they brought them here all the way to the docks, and then they drag them up. That means every shipment of stone
Will take a year.
was
at least.
taking a year
Right.
to ship. Every once a year, a shipment of stone. Let's say that they've been working on cutting this stone all year around, but now let's count how many stones.
And how many boats would you have to support it? How
Exactly.
many people would you have to
How
support
many?
that?
Yeah, exactly.
How many people do you have supporting the
And
people
then
who
they
are
gave
doing the
us
boats?
a timeline of 30 years
Yeah.
to build the pyramid.
Let me tell you
When,
this.
when somebody, I think, calculated this, he said like, then you need for each stone to cut and the transfer and the lift around 6 seconds.
Right.
So
Yeah,
in the 30 years, so
I mean, that's
Around 1830, we have an Italian engineering, and we call him a circus man because he used to work in a circus. And he was a giant person called Belzoni. Belzoni came and he became interested in taking our monuments.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah. So he took the obelisk from the front of Luxor temple. We had two, he took one. And pushing that one to the Nile side, he understood that the edge of the Nile, it's just mud, will not be okay with the heavy weight of the obelisk. So he prepared like a small dock for this. While they were pushing the obelisk to the boat, it destroyed that dock and sunk into the Nile for about 8 years. That is the story they're saying, that the ancient used to do the same.
Yeah.
So we were doing this by Belzoni 1830 and we failed.
And we
Until he came after 8 years with better tools and bullies and so many workers, and he managed to take it.
it still only explains small weight though.
Yeah, the one in Luxor is like 40, 50 tons.
40 tons.
Yeah.
And not made of
the very
diorite.
megalithic ones.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
40 tons is still not littered,
Sure.
but when you say
But in
400
compare
tons,
with
that's
other
something
pieces,
else.
yeah, like the statue of Ramses II,
Yeah.
it is destroyed, but we still have huge pieces. It used to be 1,000 tons. One piece of 1,000 tons.
That's the one that's in Memphis, or the
no,
this is the
it
one
is
in
bigger
Ramesses.
than
Ah.
the one in Memphis is baby in
Uh-huh.
compare the one in Ramesseum temple in the West Bank in Luxor.
Oh, okay.
But it's
Yeah.
not for Ramses. It's just Ramses
But his
added
name.
his name later,
Yeah.
and then Egyptologists made the mistake because the writings is what we are used in like in Egyptology to date and relate and identify also the objects or devices. I wanted to show you this by the Antiquities Department. How many renovations happened? That's not the only one.
This is not
Because-
the only. This is
yeah.
could be renovation during. And we have the son of Ramses II. He
Exactly.
said he was a restorer.
Merem Petar.
Yeah.
And we have also Tutmosis.
So during the dynasties, they made restorations and
Seemed like
renovations
they
to the
also
sites.
used the site as a quarry. They repaired some things, they took some things, they dismantled something. So when we find like things on a megalithic structure that shows primitive things like this usually can be a renovation that happened during any time from the old kingdom until today.
Wow.
They think it was because the Egyptians finally figured out copper chisels. That's why in the first dynasty, as they label it, they used more granite because they were aware of more copper chisels. Of course, the person who said this, he has no idea about how solid copper is and what kind of stones were used and what kind of tools will be required to even scratch it. Copper chisel is not gonna scratch basalt and granite. No matter how hard you try to make it solid by hammering and all this styles. These, for example, here, these pieces of stones was the top of the pit that they had the solar boat inside. The solar boat is believed to be a symbolic boat to take the king for the journey of the afterlife. But this is all not my story, but I want to tell you that these blocks here is between 18 and 40 tons for the block. That size. So I just want you to look at it so you can compare it and see like the pieces I'm going to show you around the second pyramid over there, and then you can compare. You know that this is between 18 and 40 tons.
1840.
So if they wanted to protect the boat, why they didn't put the boat inside the pyramid?
Right.
Who is the king?
Right.
Instead of doing harder work outside.
And adding more time to the 30 years. What he's saying was that these stones were supporting the boat and protecting it, but why not put it inside? 18 to 40 tons each.
So why make it so fine if nobody's gonna see it? Because they had to do this in the structure itself. There is another good example here of how the stones are interlocking together like puzzles.
Also, this isn't the main entrance side, right? So why?
The main entrance side is the northern.
So would they take the extra time to put so much niceness around it if the main entrance is on that side?
Everything nice around it is almost gone. This was an entire temple with pillars and a ceiling and an open court. The floor was from basalt, the pillars from granite.
Everything is gone except the floor.
Yes. But and this also one of the things you need to put in mind. They said it took 30 years to bring the stones. It took more than 4,000 years to dismantle and take all this throughout the ages.
Right.
So 4,000 years.
And the majority of the stones
With
is still.
no mercy.
Yeah.
Right.
Entire armies used to come here.
And we're still not done.
Yeah. You know the silly thing that me and Yousef understand that when the government 200 years ago realized that people are taking stones, they made taxes for this.
They
There
charged
was
the
a
fee.
policeman 200 years ago standing in the gate. You are taking blocks, okay, pay me the taxes for this. So it was legal.
The
at
system
that
just
time.
benefits one way or the other. Look at this. This is very similar also to what you see in Peru. But here it's in the ground. There's not much there on the ground. Most of what's there is in the... So there is more complicated things than that. But this is a nice example because you can see that designing the stones, I'm not just designing two. No, to think about this, I need to think about that. Like this one, for example, it's very intelligent. Like this one is connecting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least five pieces around it, and like how a piece of it is sinking here, this one. So when you look at it, you wouldn't know actually which direction they were going. But it means one thing. It means that they had to design a stone at the time.
Yes, they
And this
had to
will
cut
take
it in
forever
place.
If you realize that all this was
Going this
caved,
way.
and we're not even getting close to the pyramid yet. This
Right.
is just the work beside it. So
You could
imagine-
never do this on location where you're picking it from.
Exactly.
No, of course.
You work
It's
on
impossible.
situ here.
Because how to make
Yes.
the
And the
measurements?
sharps. And remember, it's not just from this dimension. No, remember also
Yeah.
that they deepen the mother rock itself, so these stones will sink in it. These are interlocking in a 3D, not in a 2-dimension only, like puzzle, but in a 3D also. It's sinking in the stone, in the mother rock. So all this has shapes underneath it, same
Just like
what we
this.
see here. That's another challenge that nobody really can understand. Like, my goodness, just to what kind of map, what kind of the preparing work before you do this, and then you can hear a story like, oh, they decided to do that, and then when they were working, they decided to redesign, change the plan. What changed the plan? What do you think? You think this was being made like they were just improvising? That's impossible. This design is complete. Everything has been taken care of from the megalithic side, from the interior until the outside. Come look here with your own eyes. You will find in some of the cases pieces like that small, man. Huh? This piece is made here. Inside, where there was another megalithic stones on top here. Nobody was going to see this.
Right.
So why not just fill it with
Right.
any type of concrete like this or
Sand
or like that
mud
one.
or something.
Yeah. So like we understand the pyramid is not just a megalithic structure. Every detail was being taken care of until this big.
Every extreme care.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're not.
And that is not a mistake, and then they put the stone. No, they meant to do it
Yes.
like this. For this is what we call it, releasing pressure.
Exactly. Pressure
The stone
like
itself.
this one here too.
Yeah.
Because they could have added just a little edge in here. It's not a big deal. If you can control, if you can cut all the slabs like this, why you didn't just line them one after the other?
Right.
Why did you make that system?
Right.
Look at that system that they are following here.
Yeah, it could be squares behind each other.
Yeah,
Square
why not
blocks.
Just
just
uniform
yeah.
uniform figures.
Yes.
And yet they didn't do
It would
that.
be easy that they can do this on the quarry and send them here, maybe with little shaping. But this design, these designs means that they had to. Each stone must fall into place. There is no random.
1 centimeter wrong
And
angle.
the whole thing
wrong,
is
yeah.
wasted.
Look at this one. You can hardly see
The
where the two
separation.
stones meet.
Right.
These are two blocks. You can hardly see. What kind of perfection is that? Now, let's say this all. If we are talking about developing experience for 2,000 years from the what they call the pre-dynastic Egypt until, and then they will get so accurate and so precise. Okay, because this is limestone, and limestone is a soft stone. And the copper chisels, yes, may work. Let's say,
Wait, no.
Okay.
What he is saying.
If we're gonna believe that,
no,
like-
no. This story is wrong. But if we will accept this story, we must accept this in the New Kingdom time, after thousands of years of development. But if we say the Fourth Dynasty, it was short time from the pre-dynastic till the Fourth Dynasty. So
Yeah.
there is no time for development.
Yeah.
The story he's saying can wrongly fit the New
Exactly.
Kingdom time. Okay?
Then all the things in the New Kingdom, nothing
this is
ever
the
was
beginning.
made to come close to this. After
Right. Right.
So Igor, this is the beginning. This is the another
that.
challenge.
The more ancient,
This is-
the
yeah.
more advanced.
Right.
See?
And then the following stuff kind of started to lose the technology.
Exactly. That's what they call the intermediate area period 1, the intermediate period 2. Huh?
But we're truly gonna.
Many people think like, oh, isn't this modern? Can this be modern? No, it's not. This is the ancient, the reed machining.
I know Igor believing us, but to give you the proof that this is not modern, we don't have electricity. One here, okay.
Yeah, you'd have to bring a generator
Yeah.
from somewhere.
This is the antiquity site, so it will be a crime to do this. Number two, what is the benefit? If the Egyptologists are not actually admit this, so what will be the benefit?
Right.
To convince
Why
who?
come here, cut a piece,
Yeah.
make it look like it's a tool, and then...
if we say that we believe this story, I can't do this because, as I said, it will be a crime,
Mm-hmm.
major crime.
And people would see you.
Yeah.
Unless you came here at night,
yes.
but...
In the gate of the pyramid, there are some writings. Okay. Many of the Egyptologists, or I can say, let's say, tour guide, they don't know who wrote such things. Okay. But if you ask any of those people here,
We see a high-tech machining result, then we don't think primitive anymore. So if it's not built to serve as a tomb, so what's the purpose?
the function.
If it had an activation, there had to be a dynamic design. This dynamic design we still see. And this is like one of the examples. So these channels were running not in a straight line, as you can see, and they used to run under the stone. And they used to be connected to basins. And the basins and the channels used to be connected with copper pipes running under the stones. And the official story of it is that the ancient pharaoh, or like the ancient priest, used it to release the liquids used in worshipping, whatever that means.
In
But
mummification and purification, in any Asian.
Right.
In
Yeah.
initiation.
But they admit it is canals, water
the
canals.
system is there. The system is here and in other structures, and the fact that to have copper pipes running and connected with the basins, I see this also as alchemy, not as like what kind of liquids used in the worshipping. It's not like
Well, you'd also have to have pressure, right? Because you'd have to push it out of there consistently to go wherever it's going.
exactly.
So
The
what, you can
other
have a guy
thing
with a
is-
pump
the
sitting
other
there?
thing is the valley temples are in the lower level, so there had to be the pressure you're talking about that actually developed the water into the higher levels. And we believe that the shafts underneath the ground could have there is other theories about the pumps, that the two shafts that creates the pressure to elevate the water to higher levels, like a perpetual motion design for it, for the water to be coming to the higher levels. Because when we find water erosion up here, this is not the natural level of the water. The water was down there because
Much lower.
There is the valley temples, as you can see.
We are in a
Somebody
higher
made a
level.
design here for how the pyramid structure looks like. This is not the whole pyramid structure. This is the pyramid structure above the ground. Now he didn't do the parts that's under the ground, shafts everywhere that's connecting them. So we have no doubt that the shafts are part of the structure. The shafts underground and the pyramid are one megalithic structure. So this is here, that used to be, if we can call it a temple, that this is the floor of it only. The piece of granite over there, this was a piece of the pillars, and then the ceiling and everything was quarried away. The causeway that's leading to what we know as the Valley Temple, that was not found, actually the one for the Great Pyramid was not excavated yet, but this here is actually also a tunnel. It's not just a road,
It's a tunnel shape.
and it's connected.
Maybe above the ground, but it's covered completely.
Yes, and it's connected with the shafts under, like the one in the middle pyramid, the one that they know as the Osirian shaft, that they call it the symbolic tomb of Osiris, is on the causeway of the middle pyramid, and it's going for 3 levels underground, 3 floors underground. It goes to 100
meters,
feet deep.
When Yousef said we have shafts, he is not talking about this pyramid only,
No.
about all the pyramids.
All around here, yeah.
Not all the pyramids in Egypt, all have shafts underneath. So it is not just a specific location for something that was, and we found even in the older pyramids more shafts and more networks of shafts underneath.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is like a network. Mohamed, how old
Saqqara.
is this building?
This building, let's say 40 years old,
Okay.
maximum.
See, when people like to copy, this is 40 years old. They made it with the same color. They put the winged disc with the Hurbahti, or the disc with the cobras. They made the arched shapes, the pillars. They even added some statues on some of the side. Yes, so people like to copy. So when we have also in the dynastic Egyptian that they liked to copy other things from an ancient time.
Sure.
That's what made it so confusing. This is what made it so confusing, because people kept on copying the same traditional things, the same shapes, even if the meanings of it became different later. But that's not what you see in Peru. So in Peru, you find the ancient megalithic civilization, and then the modern primitive one,
which looks very huge.
Yes.
But here the separation is you need expert eyes to see the difference.
The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians during the dynasty time, they developed a very high skill of hand work that became so confusing for everybody, because they saw the handwork and how it was made and everything by hand. But not this. Only that was never depicted, not the circular saw or the tube drill. They were never depicted on papyrus or on the walls, or the tools also were never found. So,
and considering they wrote everything down, they would have had to have done
exactly. And when we talked with officials about this, they say to us like mummification was a sacred knowledge.
No.
They
Tell him first. Mister. But the man was asking how they make this. So I replied.
He found a jar.
Yeah.
This jar, he didn't find it, but he found it in a museum.
The picture.
Yes, in the museum. And this jar is made from a porphyr stone, like diorite, and it's very solid. And it's related to the pre-dynastic civilization of Naqada II. That's around between 3500 BC. So that's even more ancient than dynastic Egypt. And we know how these basins were made. They were made with tube drill, and we have the evidence. We have everything. So when he asked how can this
pre-dynastic means primitive, not even copper.
Right, automatically it's associated.
So he was asking why or how.
So we told him that there was a high-tech machining, and I showed him the pictures. How did the pharaohs showed how they made it, and how it was really made from an unfinished one in the Petrie Museum in England. That shows the core is like a tubular drill in the middle of it. So it lifted the core of the stone. So it was also unfinished. This is like an unbeatable evidence. This is the real piece, and it shows the marking of a tube drill so clear. So I showed him this. So he started to say like this again, like mummification was like a secret knowledge that nobody shared it. Okay, I agree. He's right. But we found mummification tables and mummification tools.
We found details.
We found
why they
the
show
tools.
some and hide some.
Even if they didn't write it down, they didn't depict it, but we found the tools. We found the tables, the stuff they used to use. We didn't know how they used it, but we found what they used during the process of mummification. But in this case, we found the result of the machining on the stone. We never found it depicted, or we never found the tools.
So it was.
And it's so smooth on the inside.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right before the Holy of Holies, to your right hand. So when you go, you see it's like this big. But the blade. Tomorrow to Abu Sir, inshallah, I'm going to show you also another marking of the circular saw that shows that this circular saw was at least 5 meters wide.
Wow.
15 feet wide.
The same like the one in the museum.
There is no doubt.
Oh wow.
And the edge, yes.
The sinking edge here will tell you how thick the blade is. That's how we understand.
Wow.
Even the blade will be less than that, because the stone that's eaten away.
Now I guess one issue I would have is how much heat you would generate from pushing this down. you know, if you just like when I do a drill and I push into wood, there's always smoke, there's always
Right.
Yeah.
something. So just the
And you know,
amount
Igor,
of
this size of drill or this type of drill, we didn't have like this 20 years ago.
yeah,
So we had that long
right.
weapon.
That takes away everything primitive.
Exactly.
And slavery
Knowing any
or
other story.
else, any other stories. There is a real story that nobody actually came close
Right.
to. That, I mean in the official history, that there was an advanced civilization.
But such a forward-thinking culture never thought, quote unquote, to plant a forest somewhere for the future if they're going to keep working on it. So the trees thing doesn't hold up. They can think of everything else, but they can't think we should plant a forest.
Wood was as valuable as gold here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same thing when I was in Peru and the woman
they
said,
had to go to Lebanon to bring the trees. That's even harder than bringing.
Right.
"That's a
This is one of the designs of the old kingdom here. So the stone itself, it was all cut in the mound, hand, not constructed. The construction part up there is a renovation. And then the stone itself, we know that is full of fossils like the one we witnessed. So in order to add these fine details, in the old kingdom they used to lay a layer of plaster and then have the work painted and then carved in 2 dimension and then in a 3-dimensional to get the rest of the anatomy. So this is one way to see that when you develop the skill and then you have years and years and generations after another, you will be able to accomplish this fine type of work, which is all mathematically figured almost 100% right. But we still have to compare between this and the real challenges of the megalithic. This can be accomplished. This can be accomplished with the experience. So we are aware of what kind of things can be accomplished with lots of people working together, with good skill, with like mathematical figuration to bring out like the right details like this. These are the names from the 4th dynasty. This is Menkaura, the 3rd pyramid. This is Khufu, Cheops, and this is Khafra, Khafren. And this was a priest of Meri Ra. Mer. This was one of the names of the pyramid. And the temple in front of it was called Per Neter, the house of the god, as they call it. But we understand Neter that it can mean the word Natur, nature. So it can be the house of nature.
Translated wrongly by Egyptologists as God.
Yes, because Greco-Roman is translation.
yeah.
What we realize here, which is in my opinion the add to that room that already existed and then they reused it later to serve as a tomb. All the statues are carved deep in the wall, nothing is high relief. So that means the room exists because I've seen unfinished ones and more than that. So these statues were added later. These statues were carved later in a room that's much more ancient. So this room was being prepared to serve as a tomb. Same case here.
You will not see anything comes out from
Yes, except for one design. What's called the full stone. Yes, which we understand that it was a frequency regulator. So usually anybody will come, he will be of course interested, oh look at the beautiful statues, and they wouldn't realize the important part here, resonance, complex experience. You can see that the whole room, this part of layer of plaster here is incomplete. Imagine the difference between the challenge of hacking this in the mound and adding this. Of course, hacking this in the mound is the real challenge here.
That's crazy.
And the corners, it's actually even stronger. They forbid any toning or anything. Sometimes resonance cannot be recorded. When you have a design like the pyramid, which is like a huge unit of radio, and you have all the quartz, white calcite and quartzite, all the radioactive stones, and so you have like a unit or a device that can broadcast electromagnetic radio, same like any radio station. It's an electromagnetic radio. What's missing? The different frequencies.
Yeah.
And that's what these like different tones can create. But it's in a different way. But it's functional. It is functional. With the running water, and I'm not saying that this is the whole thing. This is only one like stream of energy running through the structure. It's the radioactivity, the connection with cosmic radio, and that it can actually broadcast and receive. You know, it can pulse and it can like receive also through. Today they actually used more satellite in the shape of a triangular because it's better than the dish. It's actually stronger. Now we're finding out the electromagnetic radio is here. So we
And
can have a theory.
if there's multiple ones of these, they can amplify. Right, the more you have.
The pyramid itself has also all the scale, all like the notes of music, like A, B, C, D, or like Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, and then and more than that. So it's possible. It's possible that these created lots of frequencies with the running water. There are just like too much elements. You don't know how to put them together, but they are there. The electromagnetic field is here, and the radioactivity is here. So if part of it, that transmitting or broadcasting that needed electromagnetic radio, same like any radio station, the elements is in the structure. And I would believe that these chambers could create the frequencies needed for different like standing waves and different length of the wave.
These are almost, then I guess you could say, like the keys of a piano, that being the piano, and these being the keys.
This can be
The room of the key, the inside.
yeah.
Not the key itself, but where the sound comes out, goes and comes out.
Yeah. This is like
The waves.
let's not say a piano, or maybe a piano, but not an electric piano, or other instruments like guitar. And water will be like the vibration, and this will be like the thing, what you call it?
The string.
Not the string. Water will be like the string, what creates the sound. This will be like the thing that finds the tone. You want to have a different tone. This will be the regulator. This also helps that shape up here. Helps to create the standing waves. And this shape here, you can find actually in most of the studios today.
Yeah.
That shape. Really, it is an acoustic shape. Like in the leftovers from quarry. So you have the stones. You can sometimes find this is diorite, granite, quartzite, and see how deep the Giza Pyramid goes, all the way till down there. And this is all a structure. So we are missing a big part of the Giza Plateau that needs to be revealed. Because underneath these mounds, there are structures just like that. Which leads us to another theory that has also some evidence to support it, that more than one pyramid can be part of the same structure. It doesn't have to be one pyramid is one structure with the temples, no. In Dahshur, there is the smaller pyramid that's behind the bent pyramid. It's connected with the bent pyramid with a shaft underground. And that's a nice solid proof to know that more than one pyramid can be part of the same structure. So maybe they are all were functioning as one huge megalithic.
Because they used
Each
to
one
teach us
produced
this.
something with a different design.
Yeah.
There is a different result. Most of the interiors, if not all of them, are different from each other. They are similar in things like the angles, the alignment with the North Magnet Pole, the combination of stones is used in every one of them. كفاية كده.
أحسن
كفاية
يقع.
أحسن توجع. أنا هتزعل. He's excited and taking a photo. With the nose. What happened?
So then, do you believe the Robert Bauval lining up with Orion's belt?
It's acceptable, but I like to feel. I believe it because I heard it from him, and he's knowledgeable more in it than me in astronomy. But I like to keep my studies
On the ground.
under my eyes
Right.
because I know that I'm standing on a solid ground. So if we have the proofs of advanced machining again, then we can have every theory
It's easy
that's
to
like to
accept
support
others,
that this
yeah.
was made by advanced civilization. Just look at it.
Yeah.
Doesn't look primitive at all.
Right.
And this is after they removed the casing, like they quarried away the casing. It was very sharp, just like the top of the middle pyramid, almost reflecting the light from that fine type of limestone. Let's go.
I didn't see this before. You see, we came here.
And every
hundreds
time you
of
learn
times.
something new.
Yeah.
That is all.
This is what we used to study, that Egyptians can write from right to left, left to right, up to down. How we know? According to the directions of the pictures, like the owls, like the rabbits, like the chicks. So many things facing left, so we read from left. Facing right, we read from right. And they must all face the same direction, like what you can see here. But as Yousef explains, in that one in the top, the far one to the right side facing left, and then the square shape, and then the owl facing right, which is not right.
Bad grammar.
Yeah, but this is right. We are wrong, and we are more wrong when we say that is a mistake, because this is our limited information. Why we claim that this is a mistake? We can say easily we don't understand this, and we don't understand the reason why he made it like this. But the easy way again, they say, the writer was drunk, maybe
Right.
made a mistake.
Now this is the 6th dynasty. So we know that it was also not just being used for the priesthood in the 1st dynasty of Khufu, no, but this is also from the 6th dynasty. And this one here used to be a complete full store. Same like what we saw there was the arch, with the lines that used to continue down here. So this statue was carved on it later. And that's one of the best proofs to show that carving these statues came later. But as I told you, most of people come and they think the most valuable thing here is the carving.
Is the carved
statue.
And you missed the point.
Yes, the basins here, these jars and basins are one of the alchemy devices. They think they label it all as offering jars, and I don't know why they do that. But more than 30,000 of these were found in Saqqara underneath the ground in the tunnels. Some of them they were found in the complex of Zoser, the step pyramid, but some of them has the names from the 1st and the 2nd dynasty. That means they were also inherited. And the names on them are hardly scratches. While again, these devices or these basins and vases were made by a tick that showed like also the tubular drill machine. Still, we appreciate the art of the Old Kingdom. This is a famous scene of the priest receiving the offering. And this is like one of the earliest subliminal messages by the system, like the way they could like send you this messages through art. So here they show the lines of people bringing the offerings, and then they put this is like the offering table, and then they have here the number. This is the number 1,000. So he received 1,000 deers and 1,000 bulls, 1,000 geese, 1,000 linen, 1,000 alabaster. And here, one of the best things in all the kingdom tombs especially is that the parts they show from the daily life. The priest here shows a depiction of the priest, and he has like 4 arms, 1, 2, and then 1, 2 here in the back. Can you see it clearly?
Yes, I can see it. Yep.
Yeah, this is showing that he's in emotion. He's working with something with his fingers, like that stick, you know, like when you do it like between the fingers. Here, this is like parts of sports they used to do. This is dancing, and they are clapping. This is board games that they are playing. And these are the musicians with harps and a flute player, and this is the singer. Check out his arm, putting it around his ear to find the tone. This is what we still do today, or like singers still do this today until today, so they can find the tone. And then Saqqara, we will find much bigger, much bigger tombs, or like sites that were reused as tombs, and they have this everything about the industries and everything about the daily life, including scenes from making the jars that does not fit the fact that they were actually made. Nothing of it shows that tubular drill. So that's
right. If they were so meticulous in labeling everything, even a person clapping, why not label how everything's been made?
Exactly. That's what I like to call it, ancient lies.
And that's typically what inheritance is, isn't it?
This is the word Min Nefer, where the label of Memphis came from. Min Nefer, they translate it as the white wall, but the symbolism here, Nefer, which is the symbol of beauty, like Nefertiti, is showing the lungs and the air pipe and the vocal cords. So it can also mean harmony. So Min Nefer is like the land of harmony, or the harmonized land. And then again Mer, which is the symbol of the pyramid. Constructed, it's actually carved. And we're gonna see a better example by the second pyramid. ايه المزيكا دي مش هتخليكم نفهمين. ايه ده؟ انت مش كنت لسه بتتكلم عن انا قلتها لك حكمه ومش معقول. خد صورني وسط ما يسيب بعد
So it's going 2 layers. 1, 2.
Right. Yeah, you can tell it's carved right out of it. I mean, that's monumental.
يا حبيبي.
As Yousef said, this is to connect the upper structure with the lower foundation, with the base. It's not just building, no. They are creating a system.
Yes.
And this system must have certain connections and ways and measurements. Like
we don't understand the power of the mound, but it's mentioned in the myth of creation, the primordial mound and the primordial wood.
Okay.
And even many of the knitters, between practice gods, they are one of the titles. They are the gods who are above the mound, like Anubis, like Betah.
Atom.
Yeah, like Atom. They must have this title that they are standing above the mound. So it means that they are taking something from the mound, but the mound supporting them is kind of energy or kind of support.
And it's not just the mound and the water, there is also the state of the sun. So that's where the story of the Benben, the pyramidian shape, or like the capstone, was housed on top of the mound, and in a certain time, which will be the atom, it's the midday, that this will happen, this connection will happen, and then they call it the Binu bird, which is the phoenix, the bird of fire. That it will be in the Benben, the Binu energy will enter the Benben, and the spirit of Tatenin, which is also one of the nettles, Tatenin will rise above the man. Now they're talking about also another invisible activation. It has to do with the cycle. So this must have been functional. And it's just to create a megalithic block like this, these lines, that means you have to lower all this part. And then you made it so perfect so other slabs will slide in just like that. And you do the math, see how great this challenge is.
Oh, what about even the stone on top of us?
Granite also?
Yeah.
Yes.
All cut on the spot.
Yeah. Finished all sequence.
So this is the Grand Gallery. This is the only video I can sneak in.
That most of the Egyptologists and archaeologists believe that this is the original type of machining that they used to build the pyramid, while we are aware of the circular saw machining and the tube drill, and this also, that it was actually the style that they used to quarry from the site and not to cut to it. So we will find many cases like this one the girl is hopping on, and this one. This is how they make the spaces, and then they stick the wood in it and pour the water, and that will cause the stone to crack. It's not a cut, it's a break. Huh? So this is, they're aiming for one of them to use as a millstone, and they would usually start the process and then it will fail. That's why they would leave the piece. This one, for example, is incomplete, but in many other cases it was a failure technique and they wasted lots of material because of it. This one nobody touched, but that other one over there, as you can see, if I'm cutting from this one to use a millstone. And then they weaken this point, they weaken that point. That first piece is going to be useless because it's narrow from here and wide from there. So they're aiming for this.
Doesn't match their expectation.
They're aiming for that piece here. So that was the way where they can use like pounding just to create this space and to break the stone after they put the wood and make the stone crack to take this block. So if they were able, and we know that the many like the basilica, the mosques, the Coptic churches, they recycle the stone. So we're not saying that working in stone and like granite is impossible. It's not impossible, but it's the result of the machining and the marking of the machining again, because
we can make our judgment from that.
Yes,
like this, you can see.
Yeah,
it is almost okay, but this cut is ugly, so you can see. So that is never can be claimed as cut.
Imagine
by
you want to bring
high
this,
technology.
that angle that is wider from there and narrower from here, and that they are all the same. Like you're not gonna find any bumps. This kind of result. What is the chances of copper chisels? Hardly.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Exactly.
But the mistakes that they do here is not. It's like it's very normal for them to do mistakes in something like that, to waste lots of material while they were quarrying. And they are taking it from pieces that's already figured and shaped. That's why their work will be better. It's the same difference like if I want to carve a statue from a random rough piece, or if I'm going to have this piece shaped as a block so I can work with the mathematics. Shaping it as a block will give me much easier work to shape it, but just having it as a chunk with no
Wow, yeah.
yeah. I keep this to Abu Sir tomorrow. We need to take we can take the measurement tools with us tomorrow to Abu Sir.
And we are
We can. I will show you basalt tomorrow. This basalt.
we are
stone
testing this after
the erosion.
erosion.
After erosion, right.
Imagine.
But some cases, the beam of light is not gonna go through. One of the best results after it's. There was nothing like that, because if you imagine that this is the mountain, they will never come here and they cut. No, they come here
The middle.
and to the high point, and then they cut from here
The fact.
from all directions.
Oh, wow.
And then underneath, he lives here.
Horus.
The falcon.
This is my piece.
But you're right. Your failure rate would probably be 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1 until you
5 to
figured
1,
5 to
yeah,
1 until
at
you figured
least
out.
5 to 1.
So you would have 5 blocks to every one. So if you have 2 million blocks here, you'd have 10 million blocks
3
somewhere else.
million blocks.
3 million. So 15 million blocks should be theoretically.
Let me say it in another way. In the 18th century, also Belzuni and his followers, he was hired by the British Council in Egypt and the French Council, or we can say ambassadors. They were away from policy and they were dealing with antiquities. They took 5 obelisks from Egypt. Okay, the one in Rome, the one in Turkey.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. لا تمام تمام. The one in Paris. So they took 5 and destroyed 25 to figure out how they can take those 5. The first one, it was standing, and they used the easy way, ropes, and they made like a structure of mud bricks, and they tried to pull it to make it lying over. They destroyed like 5 in the first times because they didn't understand that the pressure will make
Snap it in
crack,
half.
yes, in the middle. And then they reached the idea of supporting the middle with bars of wood and steel, and that is what the first successful one. But during the transportation to the Nile, they destroyed some. So in order to take 5, they destroyed around 25.
Sheep, that's not the size of the block. First thing. This is not the size of the block. But it reminds us of something we know from other pyramids, and that's why we collect pieces of the puzzle from different structures. The one in Fayoum, the one in Lahoun, where they have this satellite structure that's related to the pyramid. So I imagine this also.
Not the same number, but it's the same.
Yes, the same
style.
Yeah, the same style. The other ones are bigger, the other pyramid is smaller. But here, what I see here is houses or like a base of a device that would be housed on top here, like shrines, like bins, like basins, but they had to connect it to the mound. There is a certain energy in the mound that they needed to induct it. That's why the core of the pyramids are used from the same stone, because this is the same dolomite type of stone, limestone, that from the mound itself. So if there is something, some kind of energy in the mound that they need to extend into the structure, they will use it. Will make sense when they use the stone from the same mother rock. But when they wanted other purposes, like radio, like electromagnetic induction and other stuff, they used the other types of stones, like granite and quartzite and basalt. And white calcite. We still didn't introduce you to white calcite.
Tomorrow in Saqqara, I'm gonna see.
That's a tubular drill.
Very clear.
There's no way to argue that.
And it's not modern, believe me.
Modern. We don't have the tool to do it.
We do today.
But it will be in a factory in a big
Oh,
place.
yeah.
In the geology museum, and like people who goes to
But
the,
here they do it. Why?
you see the inner edge here, that shows it's not a bite, it's a tube drill. There is a difference when you have a bite just all thick and
Right.
and a tube drill that will give you the core from it. as a
Right, and they
piece.
can pull it out.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we break yet the one in the middle later. So
Yeah.
it gives us the edge, it will be thin, and then they easily break.
you can understand how or you can know how thick the blade of the tube drill was if you cleaned
Yeah.
this part here and see the space between the edge and the core. So that's how thick it was. So the one in Karnak is bigger than this, and the blade is half this at least,
Thinner.
thinner than that.
Wow. And yet it's over here, just cast aside.
It needs to be in a museum.
We found it by mere chance. We were
Yeah, I
just
know, I remember.
walking through and we saw it. little things, those are the tough mind. They argue with you because they don't know the truth. Like once we were in Abydos talking about the cartouche, how we read the name, because sometimes we read from the middle, the top, and then the end, sometimes from the middle, end, top. So we found a group of students, and they were surprised why we say so. We must read it as we were told. I said, people, come on, don't be... I didn't try to use the word stupid, but I couldn't find another word, because they were sticking with ideas and theories of modern times. Staying like this and closing my eyes, and suddenly you put me in Peru, I will see the same thing. We, according to Brian, the same knobs, you can see those.
Yes.
Yeah, and we found those knobs also in the big boxes in many places, especially in Sarabium.
You know the alley in Cusco where you find the stones interlocking with each other?
Yes, yes,
Isn't this the same?
yes.
And
In-
the sexy woman?
In fact,
the
what I
big
think,
sexy woman?
what I think is interesting, the connection to Peru is that rarely, you know, they don't have as many flat stones always.
I know.
They often have the ones that were, you know, interlocking but are always kind of jutting out like that.
Exactly, same like this. From here they're not, but from down there they're interlocking perfectly. And for the longest time I agreed with the official story that this is unfinished, but after I visit Peru I know that this design
It's
is
on
another
purpose.
design that has a different activation.
Yeah, it's on purpose.
Yeah. Look at this. What is it? Butter? Huh? See, there is a surface, there is a whole layer that got isolated and fell down.
This is really curious. Why would you take the time to do this just in this spot and then make it jut out like this?
Yeah.
How much extra effort do you have to do that? Again, your complex versus simple way of doing things, the hard
This
way.
is maybe they called it the small pyramid, but
It's
at
just as
least-
complicated.
At least 2/3 of it was cased with granite. The pieces you see here all over the area, this is all from when they were quarrying it.
This is eerily similar to Peru. It's
With the
almost
knobs.
eerie.
You know the knobs?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everywhere.
Absolutely. When I went there, I looked specifically for them.
Yeah. So really, the structure here is like some of the roads in Cusco and like Sexy Woman. The Valley Temple is looking very similar to Ollanta Tambo.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. Like, for moments, Mohamed, I was walking there and I felt like, where am I?
Yeah.
You know, is this the Giza Plateau?
You had the feeling.
I had the feeling I'm in the Valley Temple because it's the same. And then they did the other one 800 years ago, and ours is dated to 2,500 years BC, like 4,500, and it's the same structure. It's the same.
Yeah.
You cannot miss that. After I've been looking at this for all my life, and then I go there and I see the same structure, my eyes is not gonna miss it. I mean, the box in the focal chamber was made from diorite. And they imagine the value of that box that the British hacked all the way down so they can create enough space to take away this box. And then where is this box? They said it's synced. Nobody knows what it is. It's synced. You ever stop using this place as a bathroom?
Yeah. That was the worst part about the red pyramid. It smelled so
Oh, but
bad.
this is something else.
Well, I realized the ammonia smell was something else,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until I got to the bottom in the corner of one of the rooms
Yeah.
where I kept thinking, oh, someone's peeing in here. Yeah, this is curious. So is this only found at this pyramid, huh?
Yeah.
That's so curious. And your father believed it was built in which order? If he thinks that
He
the
believed
second one was
that
the
the
oldest?
middle one is the most ancient.
Uh-huh. So what about this one?
But it's not about like putting a timeline, like as they say, the Great Pyramid. When you read the official books, alhamdulillah, they say it was built 2,551.
Hello, sir. Hello.
ماشي خلاص ما تشردوش. ها؟ So they say that the pyramid was being built in 2551. Like as if they really got it.
To the exact
Like
day and
early
time.
in the morning or
Yeah.
like late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, 2551. So like, don't have any other question because it's figured out really correct.
Right.
And then you can find other books saying that the first dynasty was 3300 BC, and the other books will say like, no, it started at 3000 BC sharp. And then you find the intermediate periods, which is like about 400 years of nobody knows what was going on.
Right.
You know?
The Dark Ages.
Yeah. مالك يا ابني مصلدم كده ليه؟ Look here. All these mounds are covering stuff. In fact, we're gonna get from down there. Now we saw the name of the middle pyramid, Kha'if Ra, Usir Ab Kha'if Ra, the strong pulse of the rising sun. As I would understand the meaning of it. Here, this is called Min Ka Ra. Min here is a symbol of fertility. Ka is the like projection of they call it the physical soul. So it has something that's connected to the physical, but it's invisible. And then Kau means the triple. It can. How deep the mound is going inside the pyramid.
I mean, it's so eroded. It's so ancient. I don't have an education in geology, but I can look at it and say that's ancient. I mean,
it's very clear. And again, you're gonna look. This is the beginning of winter season in Egypt, okay? And you're gonna stay, I think, like a month.
yeah, December 22nd, I fly away.
So before you leave, I need you to call me and tell me how did you witness rain in Egypt or no?
Yeah, okay.
And I believe no.
Okay, I definitely will.
The winter after all. Look at this one here. You can see that there is a well in the end coming from above. And this well led to a chamber. So perfectly cut. It used to be before the erosion anyway. Then this chamber will lead to entrances here. There's at least 3 of them on the side of the wall. When you enter them, there is deeper shafts going. And I'll show you 1 or 2 examples, but most of the ones that's leading to the wrist is shut.
This is what I'm talking about. Look to the cracks.
Yeah.
How could you reach 14 meters?
Look, you see? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You see the other one? Before they dig this hole, the other one were leading to shafts that's going deeper. Huh? We are already on the 3rd level here. So I'm going to show you 2 other levels above this that leads to that level. So this shaft that's right behind this wall is leading to the other tunnels. And there is another one here. Couple of them. That's also buried with sand.
That is extensive work. Wow. All that. yourself twice the load. Is that another $5? That's just strange. Forgot one artifact. This also has handles on it so that someone can put something that way.
These markings are different than the markings in between the statues. They were repairing these places as burials. And we know a famous story about a man who wrote on his burial that he's confessing that this burial I paid for the workers to do it, I didn't rob any other person's place and stuff like that. So that means this was a common thing. This is from the old kingdom. This is the reuse for it, coming with this carving. What's my evidence? Come from here to see clearly. You see the circle?
Yes.
It's coming until here, and it's cut.
From here, yeah.
So it used to be a complete circle when it served as a base of a pillar.
Yeah.
And then it was reused by adding this figure. When was this reused? Happened?
What is the date?
What is the date? I could not find the name here. Perhaps it was here and it got destroyed.
In the beginning, yes.
Yes, but all these writings and this depiction is from the Old Kingdom. I did found the name here, which is. Who is this?
Shepseskaf.
From which dynasty?
Fifth.
Fourth. The
End of
the fourth
sorry.
dynasty.
End
So
of
this
fourth.
is this transformation happened in the Old Kingdom. Fourth dynasty.
The pyramid
Supposedly
builders.
the timeline of the original builders.
Right.
So that's not it. We can see here a clear evidence that stones were being recycled,
The
reused.
grandson of those pharaohs.
Yes, yes. So that's one solid proof that quarrying the sites and recycling the stones in them started and happened in the Old Kingdom
Old
itself.
Kingdom.
Because
Supposedly the timeline of
if
the
your
pyramid.
grandfathers did something great like this and you keep doing this, so you're gonna steal things and put your name on, or you're gonna have your own, because I believe the technology will still active.
Yeah,
and,
if they had the
yeah.
knowledge, if they had the
Yes.
power, they will keep just doing more. But to take pieces of stones from older structures and reuse them in the Old Kingdom, that's
Means that all
That
the
shows-
that's
kingdom
my
also
most
received.
solid evidence, because now we got everything is actually documented, and there is the one that's in the real modern times. It doesn't need documentation because the stones document themselves. So we can take you in a like time travel from the Islamic era, coming through the Coptic and the Greco-Roman, late period, New Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, through the books. It's already mentioned, but nothing is mentioned that the Old Kingdom also did the same thing. And this piece that's nobody comes to visit actually has that evidence, and we're going to document it in a video, inshallah. And feel free to share it with the world.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In the inside, you see that?
The higher, yeah.
Yeah, this part here is where the pillar used to be on top.
It must have been quite tall if it needed a base this big.
This
Yes.
this base was like until here. It will be underground, and only this part will be
Floor.
above ground, and then the pillar will be on top of it.
So it's at least 20 feet, 30 feet, at least
Usually they between around 5 and 6 meters.
5 and 6 meters,
Yeah.
15 to 18 feet.
كلمتك عنها كتير.
طلع عليهم
بس ايه رايك واضحه صح؟
جدا.
لو الكتابه اللي عليها من الدوله القديمه مفيش كلام يعني. So this is the part we're gonna.
That is impossible in granite. That is granite, not limestone or sandstone, so you can have layers like this. Okay, that is very solid material. Quarters are going like this, interlocking inside each other, so it doesn't make layers.
It doesn't chip off like that.
Unless there is something very strong, but not rain, not humidity.
ما بيعملوها على فكره العمال بالليل ما بيقدرش ينسحبوا بجيب لك كلام عمال.
I mean, that seam it's paper straight virtually.
Yeah.
It's thinner than a piece of paper. That's insane.
Smaller, bigger, smaller. Why? And why we have, you can see from the beginning, you can see that looks like rectangular and then square and then rectangular. That kind of design is strange. You see? Why it's not just big block, the same size, the same directions. Some, again, the Egyptologists are giving you the truth, but we need to fix it a little bit. They say this is the perfect example against earthquakes. So earthquakes, vibration, so it is not earthquakes, it's vibration. So the place was vibrating. And that is the best style to protect the walls from such vibrations. But it seems that it wasn't very good protection, because we can see all the layers, the outside layers. And tomorrow we're going to see how the stone used to look like before. This is maybe will tell us a little bit. Look, why this is the only one still have the surface. Excuse me.
Oh man, it's so. It's so flat.
Okay, maybe because it is a harder material. This is like granite. or we can say dark gray granite. But why the others look, all the sides eroded except that one.
I was also telling Yousef.
Rouges.
Yeah, I was also telling Yousef when we went into the Great Pyramid and we went into the center chamber with a box.
Yeah.
Why I noticed there and a few other places I never saw the stress cracks in the load-bearing supports. The stress cracks are always above, where you just wouldn't expect it to crack on top because there's not as much weight. You'd expect it to crack at the bottom, like your house. The foundation always cracks. So it's very strange to me that no matter where I go, I always see, and I'm not talking like little cracks, like stress cracks,
because
they're
we
always up.
believe that the energy comes originally from the mound. So that's why it could be maybe going from lower to higher, and from higher go straight outside. So that place receiving from the pyramid, but the pyramid itself receiving from the below to above. That's why you could see it like this. But this is the only explanation I have.
Yeah, I agree.
And we can see the same thing on the pillars. Those are the pillars mistakenly that Egyptologists said they were found on the edges of the mountain. It wasn't cut and made like this by the Egyptian, no. Maybe they found and they made the last steps of the work, but they didn't suffer cutting the blocks. So how come they found the blocks almost the same size? If we are now they are the same, but let's say if they found them one maybe 5 meters high or less, but they will never find shorter. Because shorter it means it will not fit. They must find all them exceeding that height. It's rare because when we go now we don't find any. We find pieces like this or round blocks, but we don't find pillars like this scattered around. Also, the style of the shape itself is quite strange. T-shape. Why it is shaped like this? Why it is not just an open court with pillars like so many places? This is the head of the T, and that is the tail of the T. The dynasties used this place for mummification. So it's another proof that the place had a kind of healing power. But instead of using this for living, they use it for dead people. So one of the reasons that people will not discover the secret of mummification because they only think about mummification operation, but they don't think about where it happened. Because I believe both are very important. The process itself and where it happened. Because you can do the same steps one by one, but in a normal hospital, you will not have the same result. So it needs a place supporting this operation, supporting by energy, by waves, by magnet field, by, we don't know, but there is a kind of support from the place to the operation. Okay, so they need certain temperature, they need certain pressure, so this is happening. So many questions about the Sphinx. Why we call it Sphinx? It's a Greek name. I believe they came from a word called Sesheb Ankh, Sphinx. Okay, or Sphinx. The Sphinx had many names during the dynasties. The first famous name was called Hur M8, Horus in his horizon, or in the horizon. And then per Hol, the place of Hol, they say Hol was a falcon shape and was actually a Canaanite god, Syrian, or from that part of Minor Asia. And then Horna, also another name. But when I traced the names, I found that those names are originally Egyptians. But maybe us who sent it to them, we didn't take it from them. Because we have a village here called Harraniyya. Harraniyya, it's related to Horna, one of the names. Anyhow, many people, they realize that the head of the Sphinx, it is ill proportion with the body. The body is huge, the head is small in compare with the bones and the body. So they reached the idea that the Sphinx wasn't having this head. There was another head of a lioness. Why especially lioness? To match it with the story of Tefnut. Because Sekhmet is a lioness also, but Sekhmet had nothing to do with water. Sekhmet was the flare of the sun. Lion only, we don't have one of the lion as a male, it is not listed in our symptoms. It is listed as a sign, as a hieroglyphic letter, okay, but not listed as a major letter like Khemit. So definitely the only one can fit that story, especially if you understand that that place was lake before. So lioness in a lake, it means Khemit. Any Egyptologist will tell you this immediately. Tell him just, I saw a lioness in a lake, so we'll tell you Khemit. So I believe that it was Khemit first, and then King Khephren, the one who they say who built the second pyramid, he is the one who changed the head, or it could be later. What are the evidences that the Sphinx was worshipped later in the dynasties? And I think that's why they built that temple in front of the Sphinx. And we found so many tablets or steles showing people praying to the Sphinx. We didn't find any stela during the 4th dynasty showing the Sphinx as head of a man. All before showing the Sphinx as complete lions. So it means that those people witnessed a statue complete lions.
Yes.
If they witnessed the statue as head of a man, they would represent this. Okay? But all the statues as head of a man later, not from the 4th dynasty. We can say much later from the Middle Kingdom. We can see restoration happened to the statue, and according to the opinion of the geologist Dr. Robert Shock, he said according to the erosions. Look, you can see that wall behind and here. Okay. He said such erosions are not air erosions, not wind erosions. It happened by water, but it needs very strong running water for a long time. And this could happen in the age 10,000 BC or more. In the beginning he said 80,000, 10,000 BC. But they say now Khephren is almost, let's say 2,500 BC. So the story here is, and we have him in January. So we're going to work in this. Okay. So then another question: who broke the nose of the Sphinx? Most of the Egyptologists they accuse Napoleon. They say Napoleon came to Egypt and they used the Sphinx as a target. But no, that is not the truth. The Sphinx was. The nose was chiseled away in the 12th century. One of the Egyptian locals, he found that the people maybe became fascinated with the Sphinx, or a kind of priesthood appeared again and tried to use people for offerings. So he wanted to show them that the Sphinx is powerless. So he chose the nose because nose is a sign of dignity in Egypt. Also, there was a beard to the the Sphinx, but fall down to 3 parts. We have 2 in Egypt and 1 in France. I think the British Museum, they say they have another one, but I'm not sure. Okay. That is the whole story. In the middle there is a stela, again like tombstone, and there is a story written that king called Tutmosis IV. He was a prince and he wasn't the one who will inherit the throne. But he wanted badly to be the king. So I think he plotted against his elder brother and he became the king. But to make his rule legacy, he invented that story that he came here while he was hunting and he slept. He had the Sphinx in a dream telling him, clean the sand around me, clear the sand. What does it mean? That the Sphinx was neglected during the New Kingdom time, the empire. So
they didn't do the work.
Yeah,
it was already buried.
Exactly. So it means that he was much older than the.
It also doesn't look like it fits. It looks like that was placed after.
This is the modern restoration with some old restoration from the first time. You can see it, the darker ones. So from the time of Ramses II, we understand that the place received restoration. His son was a good restorer called Kha'emwas. Okay. So by using religion, and the high priest supported his story, and he became the king. He was already a king, but he wanted to support himself. Okay. Other people are talking about Hall of Records under the Sphinx, and they say that the Sphinx is protecting that chamber, and they wanted to come and dig. Some of them started digging. We have I don't know the man, but I know his organization called Edgar Casey.
Yes.
Yeah. They went inside, and there is a hole in the other side, but they close it now. And actually, they have been inside, but to be honest, I can't say they found or didn't find anything. They don't share such information. Some people, and I'm one of them, believe that under those wood places there is a kind of a passage, maybe a door leading to underground galleries. I believe this. I don't have any evidences, but I feel it. That's why they cover it. Okay?
I've also heard that the Japanese came here in the late 90s or early 2000s, and they did ground penetrating radar, and they found that there's some kind of an object that's cut
Yes,
out. Yeah,
exactly.
and it should be right around
under
there.
that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
God, she touches me one more time.
Also, when we visit the place, in the old pictures I found, and that is kind of rare pictures, I found the Sphinx above a pedestal. Where is the pedestal? Can you see a pedestal? I realized something very important, that all is a pedestal, and the temple covered the front of the pedestal. So if we move the temple, that's so I can see the temple in a lower level. So if the temple is removed, you're going to see from the front the temple, the Sphinx on a pedestal.
It
got
sits
it?
up, yes.
Yeah.
That this whole thing is a giant pedestal.
Yeah. Okay. Another story, let's go. That the Egyptologists were talking about Salim Hassan. He's a very honest man. He had his own beliefs, but he gave us the reason why he believed this. He said that he found a tunnel cutting the area or separating the area from west to east. We are looking east this way. So from west to east, long tunnel between the two pyramids. And he said that tunnel, so he gave us now the evidence that there is a tunnel, but we are having two different stories now. He is saying that the tunnel was used for running water. We also do the same, but the function here is different. He said that running water, because of the rain here, so it's like a sewer system. So that tunnel, it's kind of sewer system, okay, to collect all the water from the rain and push it out, okay? We say no, that is not right. It was a kind of water system in the area. And that is the reason that he is saying that the pyramid was built before the Sphinx. Why? Because that water system was there before the Sphinx, because they built the Sphinx later, or if they built the Sphinx before, they would make a different direction to that water system. But we said
Right,
no.
they wouldn't let it run through where they're building a giant
But
sphinx.
if this, according to the function of that water system, if there's something wrong, okay, I will, or let's say not wrong, something humiliation to the god Sphinx, then I will accept the story. But who said this is for sewer system or for the rainwater? That could be one of the running water systems in the area. So in this case it makes sense, and this will be a proof that the Sphinx was built maybe before or after the pyramids, but not during Khefren time.
Right.
Another evidence we use, so if they made this for the first and the second pyramid, why they didn't make another tunnel between the second and the third pyramid? Why only here? It's only here. Okay. So it means that story of sewer system, no, it's not a good story. But the tunnel is there. We have the tunnel. This is the good thing, that we do have the tunnel. But we are having two different stories about the function.
You wouldn't flush sewage through the
Yeah.
sphinx.
Yeah, but if it is water, running water, and they meant to have it, it will make sense. This is Tefnut in her lake. Okay?
That I can totally buy. That I can buy. The regular water, but not sewage.
Yeah.
So are you in Dr. Robert Schoch's? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hello. تسمعتني؟ لا أنا كويس الحمد لله ما أردت أخلص. أنا فبقول اهوت Khemit, I will not say how much exactly, but I will say it's ended at least around 8,000, 9,000 BC. And from that time we can call all that area the pre-dynastic time, the preparation for new civilization. So Khemit was at least 50,000 BC. Okay. So the evidences, maybe we don't have solid evidences, but this is what I'm saying, that the pre-dynastic, because they say it is suddenly pre-dynastic like 4,000 BC and 3,500 BC, it was the dynasties, and suddenly great civilization. No, that is wrong. We need a long time for preparation.
Yes.
So if we push this long time backward, so it means the older civilization ended around 8,000, 9,000 BC. So to say this is 10,000, no, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It must be much older than this.
I agree with you.
About he mentioned like 5 cycles to reach atom. So we can count 5 cycles by 10,000 years, so it will be 50,000 years. Yeah. Now I remember why we say 50 cycles. Okay, but if we give the cycle more years, so it will be older times. Yeah. Because some people they relate the Tifnut to the Leo, and I forgot Leo in which cycle. But Risha is the one who having more information about this. Tomorrow she will give you more data about this and more information. That Noah had also high-tech machine, and he built that ship with high technology. Because if we follow the story, Noah lived in the desert side. And people, his people were passing through and make fun of him. How come you build a ship in the desert? So they were aware with the ship's type, but they were in the desert. So I believe that Adam was descended to our planet, to Earth, with all the knowledge. And by time we started to lose that knowledge. But our if we can call them ancestors, were not primitives. I disagree with Darwin. We didn't develop.
Right.
No, we were put on the ground with every, like 100% of education and information and everything. But by time, we started to lose information. And from time to time, someone who kept the kind of teaching, or some groups, they remind people with this kind of teaching. And people, they managed to return back to the origin, and some they didn't manage. That's why you will not find in each ancient civilization the same things. A few only. Like a few in Peru, a few in other places, and maybe the majority in Egypt. So this is the reason, because the Egyptians managed to accept that going back to the ancient teaching. And that's why we have someone like Enoch, okay, according to the Bible and the Islam, that he is the one who started teaching the Egyptians writings and the language and how to use the pen. Okay, if you look to his name, Enoch became ink in English. Okay, and
Hello.
Idris, that is his name in Arabic, Idris, which is related to Tadris, means education. So his name in English or even Arabic, something relating to education and knowledge. So that is my belief, that humans were maybe millions of years ago, but were very developed, very educated, and started to lose this by living in the ground. And I believe the pyramids. Do you know any facts about the what we call it, the king chamber?
Very few.
Very few. First, nothing get rot inside that food. Flowers, no. Vegetables, no. They all get dry only, but no deterioration inside. Flesh. Some of the British explorers in the beginning of 19th century, they found some dead cats inside, and they saw those dead cats because of their very good condition. It will be one day. We call it Turgaman at the time. So the tour guide at the time, just a man knows English but no history. So he told them no, that this dead cat 3 months ago. So 3 months, it's a long time. So the cat must be a skeleton. And they start witness till I forgot the name, but he wrote a book called The Pyramid. And they started to use science to find out what is going on inside the pyramid. They bought old shaving blades. Okay, it became new and sharp after 3 nights. They bought different types of beef and chicken. Became dry, but never rotted. The same for as I told you, for vegetables and for fruits. They bought liquids. They found that liquids started to became like filterized, especially if you add like some kind of minerals to this liquid, like copper, like zinc, like lead, in water. After 3 nights, they all disappear. It will be pure water. Okay, if you're going to use this kind of water to wash your skin, some of the skin diseases will disappear. Also, they found something very important, that you must understand that when we are babies, any cell we lose, we have another one. Our bodies renews the cells, including the brain. But after teenager, the body still renewing the cells except the brain. After teenager, your brain doesn't renew any new cells. Okay, any cells. But when you go inside the pyramid's power forces the brain to renew its cells. So it means that you came out with new cells in your brain. And they say that it is a way to increase intelligence for the human brain. This is the function I'm looking for and I care about. That one of the major functions of the pyramids is to increase human intelligence. And again, as a healing also. In that book, I maybe try to find the name tonight.
Yeah, I can definitely order it online.
The man hammered his finger while doing something, and his finger turned to dark blue. So doctor told him, you must cut it. So he made the shape of a pyramid, small model, and he put his finger for 2 days inside, like maybe from time to time 1 hour inside. After 3 days, he went to the doctor with pink color. It was dark blue, became pink, like normal color of a hand. And the doctor said to him, this is magic. what have you done? Okay, so this is the fact about the pyramid. You can do an example in anywhere in the planet, but you must follow certain things. The measurements in between the heights and the base, you must follow the same, how do you call it, scale, okay? And the directions of north, south, east, west. If you do this, you're going to have the same result anywhere. In Egypt, in Sudan, in USA, in France, but you must follow these 2 things. The right scale and the direction.